Hey, Danish. Morning. Playing a little bit of computer settings at the moment. Just getting ready here to start the 9th episode of the Band of the Faceless. And it's that veteran Iron Man campaign that I have been playing now. They've survived 6 episodes, or this will be the 6th episode. And we've had some losses and we've had some gains, but we're still surviving. Happy morning coffee. So let's take a look at where things stand. We now have the goal to get to 10 men. We lost a few of our initial guys in the arena. So we want to buff up that front line as much as possible. Trying. That is true. So, got some damage on heart mode. We really need to heal up, repair up, and get to the north, which is what we're going to do. So we have enough tools to fix up what we have left. We have, I think one of these towns had a temple in it. I think we're going to go get treatment for our one wounded guy. Have a look. He's got a pierced side. I think we're going to fix him. Got 6 days of food, 9 days of cash. Evil forces strong in this world. They hide in the woods and in the mountains and in the shadows. And sometimes folks just disappear without a trace. It's happening again right now over in Hatland. In terms of cold weather or cold sickness. How's the cold in game? I don't think it does. I haven't seen it do so. They released a DLC that was sort of the barbarian content pack, and it added a bunch of the north. It added like the barbarians and some northern creatures. But I haven't even been to it yet up here because we haven't gotten. So there's probably like most of this area up in here will be snowed in, most likely. So far it hasn't or does not affect that I see the troops. It'd be interesting, like as a survival stat, if they affected that or factored it in. I could see an interesting angle there, possibly. So now we're armored up and we're mostly healed up. We have a couple of quests here. We need the cash. Sorry, I just got pinged from somebody. Nothing important. So, what we're going to do is take a look at these contracts, see what we have potentially as value. We have a couple possible folks that we might want to add to the band. Or when the conscript could be a good one. Would take about 40% of our cash. He's not that bad on a daily basis. And he may have decent skills as a militia member. At least basic. Let's try him out and see what his skills are. He's a survivor, but he's gluttonous. And so he's going to eat a lot of our food, which isn't awesome. Let's take a look at the contracts and what they are on offer. Jost of Grafenhaven restlessly walks back and forth while explaining what troubles him. There's been an audacious act of thievery. The despicable brigands stole my tome of arcane knowledge, which is of immeasurable value to me. I implore you to hunt these thieves down and return that item to me. He lowers his voice to an insisting tone. Not only will you get paid handsomely, but you would also set the worried minds of the good people of Grafenhaven to rest. Let's talk pay. He puts his hand on your shoulder, smiling reaffirmingly. I think I know an adequate compensation for your services. You'll get 650 crowns when the contract is done. We're going to ask for a bit more payment. Sure, I understand. It's 700 crowns when the contract is done, which we'll take. So now we're going to go on a manhunt. I think since he can add value directly, we're going to grab him, even though he eats a little extra food. Glass houses and such. We're going to give him better armor. He's got 50 on his hat. And we're going to give him a scimitar, I think. A better shield. He's got 59 melee, only 54 health. I think we're going to give him one of the boar spears and try to have him be like a defensive center where he can throw down a spear wall and potentially give us some defense. We're going to sell off some of the junk that we don't need or won't use. And we're going to go bandit hunting. So the tracks are heading off to the west into the mountains. Looks like they've crossed the mountains. And we can see them. Brigand thugs and a raider. And there's an unhold. I don't think one unhold is going to attack us, although our troop is a little weakened. I'm going to move through this pass and get up towards where the bandits are. Hey, they're running the other direction. That's kind of unfortunate. Good morning. Rather not fight them in the really high ground here, or have to cross it, but it seems to be that's where they're heading. The militias spawned. Looks like we're going to have to fight them in the mountains. Unless... yeah. The thieves are quite human, a simple crew of vagabonds and brigands. They arm themselves as you order your men to attack. They really do, Dinesh. They've been developing this for a long time. I forget when it comes out. I want to say like 2015 maybe. And they have put a lot of additional work into it through the content expansions. They're a good shop. I would say they kind of are the types of game developers that people want to support. They're not like as crazy as say like the Treese brothers, who nearly constantly release new game content. But they're pretty dang... when they do, it's very complete, I would say. So we got some kind of mixed terrain to fight these guys on. And a couple of them already have the highest ground. So we want to try to get some level of defense up into that area. They're going to start to charge. We should be fine. It's kind of a matter of if we can get another sort of frontline guy up there in addition to the pikemen. But being that these are basically just brigand thugs, I think we can try to come up with a way to handle it. So they're going to probably come forward into this area. As long as we can stay at that level, might be useful to try to keep this second level too, but perhaps just with our pikemen. We're going to move up and take this ground. We're going to take the high ground here, which should leave us some ability to kind of attack anywhere throughout. That's probably their most dangerous guy. He's the raider. He's in Lamellar with a woodsman axe. I want to get up there and get cover for Elfgeir, our javelin thrower. Sometimes these maps make it a little bit hard to navigate just to get the right perspective on where things are. We get cover for our pikemen. We're going to move Mutar up to fight this swordsman. Takes him out in a blow. That's nice. So he's down in like this little hole down here. I think the most help is probably needed up top, but because of the elevation change, it's gonna not really get him there quick. Especially, we also have the raider advancing this way. I think we want to get him up there, and then he'll be able to work his way around in the next turn. So range guys in this situation could be kind of key, because we can break up some of their stronger spots. These guys are too far away that the shot just doesn't have that great a chance. Otherwise we could get obstructed shots here. I'm going to take out this brigand thug and try to take him out of the extra mix, or at least get a hit on his armor. One of the two. I'm going to kill, move to high ground. Using the flail. We're going to also get to higher ground. Elfgeir, our historically kind of awesome javelin thrower, gets 1 out of 2. Gonna move so we can both fork that guy and advance our frontliner in the back. Get a nice hit on that thug. Give him a crushed windpipe. And do a shield bash and move up to a higher ground position. Gonna get 2 hits on this guy, should take him out. We're gonna move forward, create a bit of a line. So I think we're going to take, we don't really have an open, unobstructed shot here. So we're going to take an aim shot at the brigand. If we miss, get a chance at getting sort of like a collateral damage, which is what happens. He's running. We could unleash our dogs on him. Although he could kill our dogs, so there's always that. We're going to move to try to get some of our ranged guys into position where they might be able to do something to him. We're going to whip at this guy's head with the lash action because he's only got a hood on. Miss. Move him through the low ground, try to see if we can get on that raider. Hop our guy, get a slash on him. 2 more axes and he's probably close to death. He's kind of in a wedged in spot there with the rock. He's got guys above him. You lose, if you guys haven't seen it, you lose extra movement points for elevation changes unless you have the right perk. So it's a little harder to move around than quite normal. Usually it would be like 2 points, but you get an extra point because you got to go up here. So get a long aim shot on the raider. Good hit, but he's well armored. I don't think with the elevation. You also get extra range on your ranged guys if you're have an elevation advantage. Kill him with the warfork. So we're keeping the low ground here to avoid those extra spent points. We're chasing them with our newbie, the militia guy that we just took on, which also might not be the best of plans. We can get down to the low ground, advance there. I'm going to try to give him some support. He is running, but he's not panicked, so we still don't want to... well, we might throw our dogs on him. I don't think we'll get the shot because we had to go down the hill. He's going to likely get away. I'd like to strip the armor off him if we could. So we're going to try a dog and see if we can possibly get to him. I don't think we're gonna. So, I'm gonna move here. We're gonna wait a turn. Gonna move here. We only have one. I thought we had 2 dogs. We might have lost one in the prior episode. Now we got 2. So we're gonna move forward. If we move forward again, we lose the ability to unleash the dog. We're gonna unleash the dog on low ground. See if it can get to him. He's also only got his, he also only has, if we move, we can't unleash the dog, so we're gonna unleash this dog. So he should have to switch to a melee weapon, which gives us another round to get engaged with him. Still too far. He's got that woodcutter's axe, and he can do like a roundhouse style attack with it, which is sometimes troubling because he can get multiple hits and it tends to do a lot of damage when it hits, which is probably what he's going to pull out of his bag of tricks. Dogs are chipping at him. Gonna wait. Get into a position where we can use pole arms on him. Oh, that was kind of a mistake. Goes for the shield chop on our conscript, which gives us another turn to get into position. These rocks are kind of problematic. They create some lanes that we can't pass. Now fatigue is starting to set in. I should have, I don't know what I did there. Brain fart, I should have forked him. I don't have a clean shot. I'm going to get up onto this high ground. Fork misses. I'm going to move back just so this guy can get through. A second fork saves it. Awesome. Egbert picks up a level. We didn't get his good armor. Unfortunate. Take everything. I don't think much there is going to be of use. Maybe we'll fix up that Gambison. After the battle, a man emerges from a tree line clapping his hands together. I paid those men a great deal of crowns, but it appears I should have paid you. And now that all these scaly brigands are dead, I can. You tell the man to get to a point before you run him through with a sword. He gestures towards the artifact. I'll pay you 810 crowns for that item. It was what I originally owed these thieves, plus a little more. What do you say? Jost of Grafenhaven won't take kindly to your betrayal, but that's a good bit of money. Because we only have one kingdom that likes us, we're going to continue to deny requests to offend our employers. Because as of right now, still only House Goswin has any love for us, and that's because of the Northern Raider origin that we have. Jost of Grafenhaven grins as you enter. Sell sword, sell sword. Will you sell me a word for your success? You take out the artifact and place it on his table. Sure. The man jolts forward in his chair and takes the item away. He turns back to you, calming himself, returning his composure. So you did good, very good. 700 crowns as promised, and he hands over the sack of coins. We're going to jump into the marketplace, and we're going to sell off some of our excess that we shall not use. Kind of have a mess of food. So we have 75 food at the moment. Nearly all of it is strange meat and it's going to spoil in a day. So we're definitely going to need to buffer that. We're going to use up the rest of our tools repairing our armor. Their tools are really rather expensive. We have another town nearby that's probably worth checking to see if we can get better value. We're definitely going to take a bag of grain and a batch of fish to give ourselves a little more maintainable food supply. Let's have a look. We're up to 9 folks. Right now our current ambition, we have no injuries to treat. Our current ambition is to get to 12 in the party. We have 9 days of cash. We should likely have a look at what might be available. Gottfried is the best out of the mix. Rymar, the Caravan Hand. He might be decent if let's try him out and see what his skills are. He's decidedly unskilled. in both a good and bad way, which is all right. We're going to hire him on. That gets us to 10. Have a look at him. He's got good melee, but his perks are in resolve and initiative and range defense. But not to a great degree. Has decent health, decent fatigue. So let's get our level ups done before we start deciding how to shift stuff around. So Mutar has got up to level 5. We're going to buff his fatigue. We're also going to buff his melee attack. Kind of on the fence between a +5 initiative or a +5 ranged, or +4 ranged. It would be kind of interesting to get a front line working that also had ranged equipment like those axes and javelins we're holding, and could use them effectively. His initiative already isn't bad. I think he has dodge, so we're going to give him +5. He doesn't have dodge. Must have been one of the guys that passed. I think we're going to give him just axe mastery. I think it's valuable once you get to this stage of perks to take the fatigue bonus off of the individual weapon use. And this gives us 25% less fatigue when using axes. Ups the shield damage, which is essentially what we want our axes doing, which is bashing shields. I think axe mastery it is. Egbert is now level 4. A little different combination of stuff. I'm leaning towards we buff both of his defensive stats because those are both nice touches to add and should up his defense overall once you factor in the armor bonuses. His fatigue's low, but a +2 on fatigue isn't anything to write home about. He does have dodge, so he would gain a little defense benefit from some more initiative, which is, I think, the area we're going to go. And then because he has dodge, we're going to give him relentless, and that will reduce the amount of initiative impact by fatigue, which should keep his initiative up and give him more defense. Or at least that's what I'm saying it may do. We'll see. Alright, so now we need to get some equipment on Rymar. I think it's best to start out new guys either in the back line or give them spears. Emmerich the Bull, I think we're going to go backline. So Emmerich the Bull is a frontline guy with crippling strikes. I think we're going to take his Warfork away. I don't know what I'm doing there. Let's see. We're going to give the Warfork to Ramar. I'm going to move him to the back line. And for now, because Emmerich still is slightly new, I think what would pair well with crippling strikes, oops, still a little early, sorry, is possibly the Scimitar, which does like a lot of slashing attacks, and we can add an increased chance of wounding. Yep. Going to add a repair on that. We don't have the tools for it. We're going to run out repairing what we currently have in the queue. But We're going to go try to find some better priced tools. Let's take a look at this contract. A man walks up to you and holds a scroll halfway between he and you. My name is Egon, representative of Tostig the Merchant, and speaking on behalf of the good people of Grafenhaven. We seek your services, mercenaries. Tostig the Merchant's men are standing around a bit of cargo. Their employer shoos them away when he sees you. Welcome, welcome, good seeing you. I'm in need of armed guards to have this here package delivered to a man by the name of Jamil ibn Asili, the vizier of trade in Kabira. I reckon it's about a day's travel for a company as your. How interested would you be in doing that for me? How many crowns are we talking about? He's going to offer us adequate compensation at 230. Going to ask for a bit more, which we will not take, so we'll accept it. We wanted to travel in the direction. Entering Grafenhaven, it isn't long until Emmerich the Bull is bothering the locals. He's slapping buckets out of their hand and kicking women into the mud. When an old man confronts him, the sellsword draws out his weapon. Other peasants beg that you put a stop to this at once. We're going to try to see if the monk can calm things down. Alfgeir steps between the bull and the old man. The troublemaking sellsword laughs and sheathes his weapon. He turns back to the rest of the company, grinning and shaking his head, but you notice that his smile quickly fades. Before you can say anything, Emmerich the Bull wheels a fist back around and knocks Alfgeir out cold. Well, that's one way to mollify a mercenary. We're going to go jump back in, go to the temple, and we're going to fix his broken nose. We did want to go down to Titan Wall and look for... Where are you guys from? From Holland's Land. Which I think Holland's Land is hostile to us. So unfortunately, you peasants shall die. I'm going to move basically forward by half. I need to get a shield on that. This new spearman. Gonna lash at his head because it's unarmored. I'm gonna put a javelin on there. So their front line has fallen. We're gonna circle around to surround. That wasn't much of a fight. Take a little bit of cash. Sometimes you have to side on the evil side of things because that's what life hands you. And as the Northern Raiders start, that is where we have ended up. Looks like those militia and that company were likely chasing somebody to the south. We're taking a look to see. These tools aren't all that much better priced here. Gonna sell some stuff. Our food supplies are still decent. If we buy that, that's $342. It's gonna take the majority of the rest of our cash unless we sell off some of the stuff that might be useful. I think the majority of our active gear is functional. We do need to get this shield on Ortwin. I think we're just going to make the run to Kabira. Looks like that was the battle the militia and the company took place in. We're also out of ammunition. It's a rather northernly located southern city. Jamil ibn Asili, the advisor of trade, is pontificating about the nature of birds to a mirror. When he sees you in the reflection, he turns around and speaks as though nothing unusual had been going on at all. Ah, Crownling, of course the visor sends a Crownling. I'd like to imagine you did not dare profane the materials of the crate with your eyes, but I can't even trust such professionalism out of your sort. But you can expect it from me. Your payment is in the corner and in full. We get 230. There's some easy quests here, which we need the cash, so let's see what we have to say. You find Walid Asawid, the visor of the treasury, petting a wildly tall pink bird with long black legs. He is feeding it to crickets. He's feeding it crickets, which the bird doesn't seem to care much for. Ah, I have spoiled you, little deviling. He begins to feed the strange creature a long silvered fish, which he pulls alive out of a golden bucket. He talks without looking at you as the bird gulps down fish after fish. We here have acquired knowledge that serpents are in the wetlands here. The scales of said serpents is worth a considerable amount, not in gold, of course, but in our fine taste. We desire that you head there and herd said scales into your backpacks and trot your little legs back here. The man raises a finger, raises it even further, and then points it at the tiles beneath his feet. And for that, we will pay you 340 crowns. The pink bird prunes itself and seemingly stares at you in the stead of its caretaker. Going to ask for a little more. He's going to give us 380. Accept that contract. So it's set in the wetlands. Wetlands are down here to the south. East. There are a few children playing in a swampy puddle, mud caked up to their knees and elbows alike. They look at you and ask what you're up to. When you state your business, the kids laugh. Serpents, they're small game. Nothing with which to concern yourself as far as I'm concerned. Keep your eyes peeled, kids. It's kind of odd. He could be chasing. The same snakes? Ah, maybe it's this wetlands. Or perhaps across the water. That is most likely. There they are. So a little sightseeing. 5 serpents. Yeah, this could be a mild challenge. Ooh. I have not seen this biome in a while. So this is kind of similar, it looks, to the swamplands. And we don't want to get into... Well, it doesn't seem that the shallow water affects you like the muddy water in the swamps. So we're going to move forward. Afgir misses with his javelin throw. The trick with the snakes is they do constrict and drag. Drag people forward just like that. And they have poison. Put him in a position where he can use his fork to attack. Try to gash him. We got a deep chest cut. That's taking advantage of the crippling strikes in combination with his scimitar. They pull forward our archer, which isn't great. I'm going to try to get down so we can support him. The water has a big fatigue bump to cross. I'm going to unleash a dog. Cut through that first one. And they're pulling Niels deep into the water. It could be bad for him. I'm gonna hold. Nice hit with the war fork. The water's too much to move into. We're gonna move. We can't move into the plant, so we gotta stay where we are. We'll move into the center here because we want to take some of the heat off of Niels if we can. Niels is in a lot of trouble. We might lose our archer. Wasn't much to be done about that. I certainly like to gang tackle. Hey, Hell in a Barrel. I want to say the range is somewhere like the 4 or 5 range, but I'm not 100% certain. But they are, they can certainly disrupt your backline guys with it and get things kind of messy, which is what happened to our archer there. We chop them down. Not really going to be able to get a clear shot while we have the fatigue to move. gonna lash at its head and body. Niels survives, but now he's traumatized. Has 40% resolve and 30% initiative hit. So also got 2 damage that we'll need to repair or heal. He has been with us for quite the long time. So we will have to decide if we're going to retire him. The serpents are all dead, strongly indicated by their unmoving status. Just to be sure, though, you go around chopping all their heads off. Sufficiently assured that nothing can survive such strokes of damage, you sling the serpents into a knapsack, ready for the return to Walid al-Sawid, the visor of the treasury. Let us be done. We have crowns to collect. So we're going to need to re-up on provisions. And we're going to need to decide what to do with Niels. Have a couple level ups we can do. Ortwin gets his first level. He needs the health. He needs the fatigue. And we're going to give him initiative. We're going to give him student so he levels up faster. I'm going to give him melee attack, fatigue. His resolve's rather low. A +4 to it isn't terrible. His hit points are also just low. I think we need health right now at this point. We're going to give him crippling strikes so that we can get as many debuffs going as possible during the fights. Fatigue again. +5 in initiative, hard to pass. We're going to take a +3 on melee defense. Keep his defensive capability up. We're going to give him relentless to stack on his dodge. We got some decent value goods that we may be able to trade too. A flock of women rush you. There are far too many. The door to Walid al-Sawid, the visor's treasury room, appears and disappears, winking between a flurry of silken scarves, filtering feathers, glistening jewelry, and the general swirling and throwing of hair finer than any you've ever seen. There is also the noise, which is of considerable distraction. You are particularly robbed of the scales, and being in the visor's place, do not exactly resist the purloining. As the women scatter away giggling, a much older woman is left in the wake. She holds out a satchel of crowns, your payment. The visor does not wish to speak with you, Crownling. He thinks it beneath him. You ask if it is beneath her to meet with you, and she nods. It is, but I'd rather find myself beneath the task than beneath the visor himself. Have a fine day, Crownling, and may the road to your coin be gilded. We gain 380. Not sure if 380 crowns was worth the sacrifice of our archer. Let's take a look at the temple. He's got 480 crowns of injuries. Mutar has another 270. He has been with the band nearly the longest, beyond Alfgeir, our javelin thrower. He joined, I think Niels was one of the first additional guys that joined on, and has survived quite a while, besides being pulled by snakes. Give him some armor, possibly. Though I think retirement might be the best option. He's not really going to heal. He's going to have terrible initiative, poor resolve, neither of which is great for an archer. I don't know if we want to give up on them or not, though. Let's see what we can sell our goods for. So they're not giving them awesome prices on the serpent skins or scales. They do like the wolf pelts, which we could turn to some cash. Let's see if we have any one that seems potentially archerish to acquire. Like Moose of the Bear. Usually always if they give them some kind of nickname, that's a positive perk that may be of value to acquire. I assume bear is that he is very large or strong or high endurance, one of those type approaches. Okay, I think we're going to lean towards recovery. Let's see what this contract is, if it's a travel contract. You find Bakud al-Sabag, the high priest, feeding a bird in a cage. The bird is a collage of colors, some of which you're not sure you have ever seen before. Suspecting your presence, or perhaps smelling it, Bakud al-Sabag, the high priest, turns with a hint of disgust. You are scaring my bird, Crownling, so I will make this brief for her sake. There are nomads roaming the peripheral of my lands, and I need them destroyed. I'm sure a man of your station would be willing to undertake such a simple and easy task. I don't think we want to get into a fight right now. We need to recover. Even though that sounds a bit on the weakened side of things. We're going to need some provisions to make it back to the north. We have enough medical supplies that we can slow roll our injuries and let them heal. But I just don't think that our current condition, where we have disrepairable armor and we have wounded guys, really is great for fighting in the south. Something walking outside of our vision. I think, sad to say it, that what our probably best bet would be is to go and get some caravans and kind of value up. They're not really buying snake stuff at a very high price. Well, they are offering $200 for this rainbow scale. I think we're going to do that. Grab some tools so that we can repair. I'm going to grab a bag of grain so that we can move further. I'm going to sell one or two things that we're not going to use. We're going to move on to Grafenhaven. I got a 3 skill, which I do not think we are in the condition to necessarily go for. Interesting. Just options for potential travel. We still have the 3 injuries. I'm tempted to heal Mutar because he's a frontline guy, and 20% melee skill is a big debuff. We also need ammunition, and everything's like double price. They're having witch burnings, so they should have some witchers. They do, they just have 1. We're going to use most of our tools repairing. I think we're going to let that happen, and we're going to travel over to Hatland. Across the water here. I don't think we've investigated if there's a way across in this area. We'll head through this pass. We're actually just going to skip Hatland and head straight to Brunenland. Sorry, World Hoax, I just blocked and reported you. We enter Brunenland. Okay, so we still are in the midst of healing. Pierced hand, 1 to 3 days. Pierced shoulder, 1 to 3 days. Let's see if the marketplace is interested in our hides. Probably the best price we've seen on ammo is 114 in a while. We're going to grab it. We're going to sell off our wolf pelt. We haven't seen anyone with much more on offer than that. We'll swap in Emmerich for 75. Give him a little bit more of a buff on the front line. Okay, we have 2 days of food and 3 days of cash. So we are going to go caravan hunting. So we're going to keep going to the north here. While relaxing after a day's walk, Raban comes up to you with a pair of dice and a cup in hand. He asks if you wish to have a little game. The rules are quite simple. You roll the dice from the cup. Whoever has the highest number wins. It's pure chance. The wager will be 25 crowns per dice roll. No time. So we're going to head north here up towards Eisengrab and see if we can pick off any lightly defended caravans. Mostly right now we're running against a clock of time. Looks like we're going to hit some banditry. Those are brigands engaged with the First Krockdorf Company. We're going to jump in and see if we can get any free stuff. I'm going to mostly just charge here. There's the first brigand raider. We still need to be slightly careful here, I think. Because they are, he looks at least, somewhat well equipped. Sounds like some dogs are dying. It's kind of sad to see Niels, who used to be our peppy archer, moving nearly last in the initiative queue for our guys. Take the high ground. There's a fair amount of equipment on them. And try not to get too overconfident that we have the support. Looks like there's about 9 left in the company. They are well equipped as well, which should give us advantage, but we just don't want to go completely charging in. Circle around, try to get some flank on that side of things. Yeah. So he's going after Reimar, our new support guy. Also got a shield, so we should get our axemen on him. Tempted to try to shield bash him away. Because he... Let's see what we get if we shield bash. There we go. Now we're going to take the position in front of him so he doesn't get a free hit on our lightly armored guy. We're going to keep moving around so that we can get some kind of line of sight. Got a hit with the Warfork. I'm going to leave him in position. And take an aim shot at the marksman. Nice. I'm going to cross over with Emmerich. Got a spear shot. Attack his shield. He goes into riposte. We get to the high ground with our Warfork. Nice hell in a barrel. Those berserkers are something. Especially like the stun charge thing they do. Nice, man. Not sure this party's ready for berserkers. We're going to get some damage in, or we should at least qualify for... Gets us back with the riposte. Take him out with our javelin thrower. See if they cut us into the loot. They should give us a little, huh? Take the food. A little bit of cash. Yeah, that was worthwhile. Didn't really cost us much except for a hit or two on our guys. So we're going to keep moving north. Alright, so this is what we were looking for, is a trading caravan that's lightly defended. Alright, a few wounds, nothing major. Shouldn't be enough to stop us from taking these goods. Alright. We're gonna move forward on them and just kind of take them out like peasants. Gonna lob one in, see if we get anybody. We do. Unleash our dog. Lash him in the head from behind. Got a gashing wound on him. He was breaking, but we might as well. Don't really want to expose Remar since he's not that well armored. I'll take the high ground and lock him into place. Take an aim shot at the front caravan hand. He attacks our shield. Nice hit with the arming sword. Splits his hand. Gonna lash at his head from the high ground. He sneaks a stab on us before we chop him down. And he breaks. We get a bunch of strange meat. I wonder if that's the donkeys. Quite possible, I would imagine. We're going to take that all on. I think he's already wearing 30, so we're going to jump him to 50 armor. Alright, strange meat was what we needed. That is to keep going. We still have the tools, we still have ammunition. We're going to keep moving forward and see what we scare up. It's going to be kind of sad. And we're just going to charge. Getting a little late. Gonna have to call this to a close and get showered for work. Lash him to the head, miss to the body. Probably even shouldn't use our ammunition on this. Punches our shield. Just a little sad. We're not going to shoot any arrows. Hmm, 25 food though. That gives us, extends our range, which we'll take. This is a raiding pass through the north, and we're going to go as high as it seems like is possible. It might be interesting. I think this is a big kind of trade zone because of the crossroads here coming in from different ways. Otherwise, I would head up into here and see if we can clear open some map, discover some more of what's going on. But I think we're going to take a pass through Mooseburg, see if they have any interest in snake pelts, see if they have any tools. Oh, Rutro Rastro. So that's a lot of mercenaries who will probably do damage to us. We can likely run to Mooseburg. They're coming straight at us. And then run to the south. Or we can run back to the east. And I think because we're on the road and they don't have like that angle on us, we need to run straight away. And we're going to head through the forest. They look like they're moving quicker than us once we move through the forest. And we're gonna cut north, see if we can lose them. And get some of that discovery that I had mentioned. The problem here is we could get stuck without much to retreat to. But it looks like we've found at least a fair pass through the mountains, although it's all forested in. Many brigand raiders. Not just yet. We are taking advantage of the weak right now as our path to economic improvement. So, kind of in a tricky spot. I think we're going to try to see if we can head north. There was a road. No, there wasn't a road. There's a road going this way, so there's probably a town in that direction. We're going to head north, stick to the hills, see what we can find visually. We're going to try to get up. Looks like there's a little forest here. But that's still mountained in. I think we've lost the mercenaries. So, if this is all mountain, it could be a mountain straight through. We're going to circle to the west. We're seeing all mountain. Going to try to stay out of the whitecaps, and there is the break that we needed. There's an ancient statue. Alright, we have made it. Let's check out the ancient statue. A golden man the size of a castle sits atop his stone throne with such august stature that it seems even he, as inanimate as he is, should rule the land, and perhaps the world would be better for it. This non-speaking entity with such an awesome presence would make a finer rule than a lot of skunks you constantly run into. The bulk of the statue rests upon an enormous disc made of spiraling square stones. Were they coffins, it would take all of 2 bricks to store the band of the faceless hull. Hartmut Redmeat tilts his helm up. If that ain't the biggest thing I've ever seen, I don't know what is. Mutar smirks and makes a reach for the sellsword's crotch. I thought the women folk said that little worm was the biggest thing to ever seen. As the company laughs, you step forward and look up. You're not much for kneeling, but you feel the urge here. The statue staring out at the world with firm authority, and its hands are out at the sides, one upon a sword staked in the earth, and the other supinated as though to weigh justice herself. You nod at the golden sheen present before you. That there is not a single scratch of a would-be robber suggests its austere presence still has some ethereal grip on the world. But that doesn't make sense. Any smart men would be nicking a fair share from the statue's shins alone. A few mercenaries ask if they can have a stab at collecting some gold for themselves. There's no harm in it. The statue was so huge, perhaps it scared off lesser scapegraces by superstition alone. You've no reason to let good things go, like a nearly endless pile of gold shaped into something pretty. To hell with history and artistry. You tell the men to have at it. They leap to the task with the tools available, but the second Raban makes contact, he falls limp and slumps against the statue. Another mercenary goes up to help him and brushes the enormous toe and collapses atop the sellsword. Just as the company begins to panic, the 2 mercenaries bolt back to their feet, start screaming about amazing sights beyond the world, sights of the future itself. Invigorated by this, the company gladly runs themselves into the statue, the lot banging against its giant toes and falling backwards like mimes unexpectedly finding a very real wall. It's the most ridiculous thing that you've ever seen, but each man springs back to his feet, spilling out fantastic stories. You shrug and walk up to the statue yourself, standing before the big toe with its big toenail. The men urge you forward, sighing. You put your hand out and touch the toenail. Nothing happens. You fist the gap between the nail and the golden flesh. You angrily put both hands to the toe like it owes you money. Nothing. Well then, looks like you've riches to harvest. You draw your sword out. You swing the sword, but the second steel touches the golden sheen of the world, flashes over you as though you struck the sun itself and drew blood. The sword continues on into darkness like a star across the night sky, and it cuts a world of its own into reality as though you slash the magician's cloth off his trick, revealing a room with pillared corners and beautiful silk curtains, and the sword continues on until it slams against a spear shaft. You look down and see a man with gilded armor and red eyes holding his guard with a grimace. He slides across the tile floor to his right and lets your momentum fall to the ground. Then he twirls the spear around his back and strikes it forward. You throw your arm wide and close rank with the killer, catching the spear shaft between your armpit and driving forward to stab him just beneath his pauldron, driving the sword into his heart. The man's red eyes drain to a pure white, and he goes limp against this and slides right off the steel. As he clatters to the ground, you quickly look around. Against the far wall stands an enormous bed with corners of marble, each statue shaped to a woman or man, each of them adorned submissively to what looks like a rising sun. There's an elderly man in the bed who is looking at you, bearded, eyes dimmed, weathered, familiarity in his stare. He smiles, but it quickly fades. He yells, but you don't understand the words. A shadow slides across the room, and you wheel around to see a large knight with fire in his eyes, bearing down on you with a two-hander. Parry. You step back and flip your sword crosswise and crouch at the knees to brace for impact. The killer's two-hander slams against your sword, and just like that, the world snaps away, and still frozen in a parry, you can feel the issuance of time and space fly by your sides like a plow of wind. The ungodly amounts of suffering, screaming, living and dying, and in the far distance a speck of light that fast approaches until you arrive back in your body. Your sword hits the statue and swings backwards so hard it flies out of your hand and sails it through the air until stabbing into the earth with an earthen chunk. The men look about one another. You go and fetch your sword. "I think you broke it, sir," says Niels as he gets handsy with the pinky toe. You tell him and the rest of the men to pack their things. It's time to leave this place. Looking at the statue, you see that it's all rusted bronze now. You think to ask one of the mercenaries if it had been gold earlier, but you already know the answer to that. Instead, you stare at the head of the statue, at the very familiar face. Let's not dwell on this, and everybody gets a buff to their outlook on life. That's a odd little special event. Not quite sure what to take that for. Alright, so we are moving northward to escape the mercenaries that were hunting us to the south, and to find a way towards Vistat, and there's at least some territory to explore up here. We're running a bit low on crowns. We have a fair amount of food. We found another pass through, and we're looking for caravans. Dang it. So there is a fairly strong company of men that is going to drive us back into the hills. I think we're going to run this way. They have the advantage of the road. I don't think they saw us. Let's get to these hills, see if we can see anything. Now we're going to need to be careful. See if we can get a sight line on the road. There's the company. They still don't see us. That is not the most cognizant of fellows. I'm going to circle around Vistad to the north. Since that company was going west, we're going to head east. With the Northern Raiders start, our relations with these folks have been polluted since the get-go. This is actually our starting location, and in theory, those ruins were our doing in the prologue. Some barbarians. We could take them. There's 8 of them, though. They're going to be unarmored. I think most of our injuries should be cured. See how Niels is. Niels is now permanently traumatized. Perhaps we can find some kind of resolve restoring gizmo to drop on him. See if the barbarians come for us. They seem to be additionally aggressive. Alright. So we're going to take them on. It's going to be the last fight of the stream, because Work is calling. Alright, so a bunch of unarmored madmen charging us. We are your brothers, yet you do not know it, and do not seem to care. So, we shall kill you. Gonna move our flailman forward, lash at his head because it's unarmored, and a miss. We're gonna take our... We're gonna go javelin on javelin. And kill their javelin men. They have the high ground here, but I don't think we're concerned. We're just going to shield wall and hold ground. Going to move our warfork up. Got a stab on that flank. We're also going to hold on this flank. And hold. Going to move up to form a center line. Get a stab of spear on him. And catch a line here. But we're going to unleash our dog to harass him. Take advantage of the poor armor. We're going to put a aim shot at the thrall with probably the best armor that we've seen. He's also got it. It looks like that kind of pieced together leather. I don't want to release the dog just yet. It would probably give it certain death. Being in the center of all of them. Getting a little fancy footwork going on. Our dog mauls down one. We've broken their resolve, but since we can't jump over, we're just going to advance after killing him. I'm going to wait for these two high ground guys to charge. Miss with it with a javelin throw. I'm going to put 2 hits. I'm going to go in and create another line here without exposing ourselves to the high ground, and that bush is somewhat nicely positioned for us. The warfork can do some additional damage. Our axeman can finish him. I'm going to put an aim shot into this thrall. Nearly kills him because of his lack of armor. I'm going to move forward, slash him. Move forward again. And they're retreating. So we're going to move down, see if we can harvest them. We're going to let them run. They weren't broken in morale. They could have still killed the dogs if we unleashed them on them. And they weren't really going to give us much. We probably would have got 2 more antler cleavers out of the mix. We do get some mushrooms and crowns and a little more tools and supplies, all of which are good because we really didn't take all that much damage at all. He took 42 in the armor. He took 25. Plus we get some trinkets to sell off. I don't think there's anything there that we want to use, but we will take the inventory. And we still have enough supplies to continue our foray and repair our armor. This could be a dangerous path, charging up into the north, looking for essentially crowns to ply. It looks like there might be some towns in both of these directions, all 3 perhaps. We'll see. But we're going to see you in the next stream because I'm going to cut out here, jump in the shower, be ready for work. So if you're watching now, thanks for watching now. If you're watching later, thanks for watching then. And if you are on whichever service and could add a follow or add a subscribe, appreciate it. Have a good one, Hell in a Barrel. I'll catch you around again, I imagine. So thanks, y'all. See you.